Summer 22 is here, we are back outside, and man, is there anything that could signify and commemorate this any better than a surprise Drake album? In a very sudden fall from the sky course of action, Drake announced his surprise album, Honestly Nevermind, about 6 hours before it was made available to the public. In classic Drake fashion, he posted a rather simple album cover with the caption, 7th studio album, Honestly Nevermind, out at midnight, which left a lot to be anticipated while simultaneously not giving too much away. I mean, it isn't often that the biggest artist in the world just decides to drop a project, just 9 months after his most recent one, CLB, and that 9-month time difference may actually be a lot more significant than we think. This is also not the first time that Drake has dropped a surprise album. If You're Reading This Too Late was also a surprise drop that the public knew about only hours before the release. The surprise album drop obviously popularized by a collaborator of Drake's, Beyonce, who funny enough announced her new album on the exact same day. Lots to be excited about as far as new music this summer. However, if you have ever listened to a Drake album before, then you know the man is always incorporating different moments of his life, milestones, ballads about the multitude of women he associates with, addressing controversies and criticism, sometimes directly, sometimes subliminally, and a lot of the time there are stories and bars that you need to piece together that maybe you didn't quite catch the first time around. Although this album seems to be a different beast altogether, being categorized in the dance genre, this is Drake's first decisive departure from his typical hip-hop pop R&B bag. Touching on a variety of house-inspired subgenres, Drake works with new producers to give us something totally different. So without further ado, here are 5 things that you may have missed on Drake's new album, Honestly Nevermind. Off rip, I think the first thing that needs to be talked about is this new diverse sound that Drake is experimenting with. This 14-track album barely has any rapping and contains elements from a variety of house genres, including dance, AM piano, techno, hard house, Jersey club, and of course Drake's classic R&B crooning chops. Tracks like Ties That Bind feature production from Netherlands-based artist Ramon Ginto, who delivers a standout guitar solo. Many have remarked that this track veers into the lane of adult contemporary. Other songs like Flights Booked introduce some gospel elements, while songs like A Keeper and Downhill still very much maintain the house vibe of this album, but still sees Drake getting into his toxic R&B bag, providing more insight into his life and relationships. Gotta love toxic Drake. On this project's intro and on the track Flights Booked, Drake taps Montreal producer Kid Masterpiece for assistance. Drake also brings Toronto-based producers Govey and Alex Lestige, as well as Gordo, also known as DJ Carnage, and Bo Knox. In a not-so-typical move, Drake's frequent collaborator and producer 40 was only credited on 2 of the album's songs, although much of the production for this album was helmed by Black Coffee. The South African DJ producer is credited on 3 tracks and listed as an executive producer alongside Drake's usual OVO team members. Black Coffee is a big deal in the South African house scene and was also sampled on Get It Together, a standout track from Drake's 2017 release More Life. Many also compare the tracks on Honestly Nevermind to another More Life standout, Passion Fruit, so if that is one of your favorite Drake songs, you'll probably like this album. There are also Jersey club elements juxtaposed with iconic and almost meme-worthy box spring squeaks on Currents, and Jersey club producers have been making their own Drake edits for years now, so you know they're about to go crazy with this album. I also think the TikTokers will find many ways to utilize this project. While this album may feature an array of different producers, something you may not have taken in is that there's only one high-profile rap feature with 21 Savage on the album's closing track, Jimmy Cooks. Drake and 21 obviously have a pretty good track record together, and after 13 experimental house tracks, it is a bit of a nice way to end things, with Drake giving us his usual rap bag over a trap instrumental, with 21 Savage, who seemingly never misses on features, giving us an insane verse. He may also have the best Will Smith Oscar bar so far, when he said, "This Glock 45 came with a switch. If I was Will Smith, I would have slapped him with a stick." It's also a really good way for Drake to finish the album while kinda telling his listeners, hey, I can still do this too, I can give you bangers, I'm still Drake. Just sounds like the man wanted to try a thing. Another thing you may have missed is that Drake dedicated this album to the late Virgil Abloh, who passed away after battling cancer last December. Virgil was a close friend of Drake's and a beloved icon within the fashion industry that broke down many barriers and set the precedent for street fashion. Now, if you are a Drake fan, then you are likely aware of the extent of the relationship these two have, especially in hip-hop in general. Virgil's death was especially tough. One of the best songs released this year was another ode to the designer titled What Happened to Virgil by Lil Durk. But in regards to Drake, he has constantly referenced Virgil in his music, as well as having Virgil custom design a number of things for him, like Drake's custom paddock or the design for his Air Drake private plane. Drake makes his declaration for Virgil pretty clear in the album description for Honestly Nevermind on Apple Music. The last part in particular reading, "I got here being realistic, I didn't get here being blind. I know what's what, and especially what and who's on my side. Honestly, never mind." Dedicated to our brother V. Something else you may not have seen yet is the first music video supporting this album for the track Falling Back. And boy did Drake pull out all stops for this music video. In this nearly 10-minute production, Drake teams up with his fellow Canadian, Director X, once again. In the video, we see Drake getting married to 23 different women, with 23 different wedding rings, as they line up one at a time to receive their rings and perform what I could only describe as NBA pregame handshakes. Although there was a blink and you miss it moment where Free YSL appeared on the screen, which was good to see. Other appearances included Drake's mother, who provides some tongue-in-cheek commentary saying, "I really think he's taking this one serious," amidst his ceremony with 23 different women. And it's really at this point where you realize the video itself is more of a fun parody than to be taken overly serious, something Drake is pretty good at doing. Now, this satirical tone was set in the beginning of the video, where Drizzy is seen receiving advice from Chicago Bulls forward and Brampton legend Tristan Thompson. Which honestly, when it comes to marriage, being faithful, and committing to women, is Tristan Thompson really the guy you should be taking advice from? Which I think is the point of his cameo. There's also another hilarious cameo with Dan Finitary, and if you're not familiar with him, he is the wedding singer from the Hangover films who delivers hilarious renditions of classic rap songs like Candy Shop. And in this video, he gives his own version of Drake's first hit, Best I Ever Had. And honestly, it's pretty hilarious. Drake has always been very good at taking himself so serious that he isn't taking much serious. I'm not sure if that makes sense, but it absolutely contributes to him delivering entertaining music videos such as this. And finally, the last thing you may have missed, although much of this is just speculation at this point and has specifically to do with the timing of this release and fellow rapper Kendrick Lamar. Being that exactly 9 months ago, Drake dropped his much anticipated album Certified Lover Boy with an album cover that featured a bunch of pregnant emoji women. 9 months, pregnant women, you get where we're going with this. Now things get interesting when you consider that June 17th, the day that Honestly Nevermind came out, is also Kendrick Lamar's birthday. Kendrick obviously just dropped his much anticipated album Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers after a 5-year hiatus, where he also references Drake and Kanye's feud, citing that he felt confused when he saw them being friends again. Now it really could be a whole separate video documenting the Cold War feud that Drake and Kendrick have had for the better part of a decade now. But it is pretty public knowledge that there is at the very least tension between these two, and we never see either of them acknowledging one another after collaborating early on in their careers. And then things turn sour after Kendrick dropped Control. So many are speculating that Drake dropping an album 9 months after CLB, which featured an album cover with pregnant women on it, right on Kendrick Lamar's birthday, is Drake's not so subtle way of trying to quote-unquote son the Compton MC. Now with this current time, this really is just a rumor that fans are speculating about, so there is a good chance this is all coincidence. Although it's not the first time that Drake has made the declaration of sunning Kendrick Lamar, like on his remix for Future's track Shit, where he rapped, "Then I brought my tour to your city, you my son there." Now maybe we are reaching because these are old lyrics and both these guys are onto bigger and better things in their careers, so who knows at this point. Either way, they both delivered great albums this year, so we should be happy with that. Well, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Those were 5 things that you may have missed from the latest Drake album, Honestly Nevermind. And as we get to sit with this project longer, I'm sure there will be things that we learn from this album, so let us know your thoughts in the comment section down below, and we shall see you in another video.